Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's your host Lena. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Lena Puti. I am a 22-year-old from Botswana, currently living in Berlin, Germany. Um, the reason why I'm saying for those who don't know me is because this is an old podcast that just took a different turn after a few circumstances, and I already had a few listeners. That's why yeah, basically introducing myself like this, but I think I will talk more about myself in the Nice to Meet You episode or in this episode, and then everyone will just get to know me and what this podcast is about and what the former podcast was all about, and our way forward from here on. So, nice to meet you. So, what led me to creating a podcast in the first place was probably because I was having a hard time like dealing with life and expectations and just me as an individual and just people. And I think I wasn't very confident in the topic and exactly what I wanted to talk about, because it was a bit sensitive for me, because I think not just it wasn't just about me, it was about the people around me, and I wasn't ready to like talk about them um in this way. And I was just having a hard time with like dealing with people's expectations actually, and I just didn't understand how life worked, like why I had to like live up to people's expectations when I couldn't live up to my own. And just people around me in general, like I already said, it was a really hard time for me, I think. And I had just moved out of my first ever apartment after being kicked out because I had a misunderstanding with the girl that I stayed with. And I personally believe, because I've seen with my own eyes, that she was going through a lot at that time, and she kind of took it all out on me because I couldn't like speak out for myself and speak up for myself. So she won in that case, and I had to move out. Me moving out had to involve my sister, who has helped me a lot in life. When I talk about expectations, actually, sometimes it's mostly because I can't live up to her expectations. But it involved her being around and like trying to figure out exactly where I went wrong. And it's a lot, because when someone has always been there for you in your life, you don't want to stress them and like have them be like your backup for the rest of your life, because like it's also tiring. You don't want to be a burden. So it had to involve her at some point, because she was trying to figure out like where would I go next, what am I gonna do, and things like that. I had to start looking for a house like as soon as possible, and I moved out just within the first month. I think 3 weeks after moving in, I was kicked out. And yeah, I moved to a new apartment, which wasn't really um my kind. I don't want to say I was picky or anything like that, but it wasn't like it was a beautiful house. It just wasn't clean. There was a lot of things. There was just basically food that had long expired in the shelves, and just it I don't know how to paint this picture for you, like from a hygienic perspective, because I work in like health. It wasn't my piece. And it just, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it just wasn't it. It depressed me a lot. Like, it really, the bathroom, gosh, when there's like, we say kalk in German. I don't know if it's also the same thing in English. I don't even know if it's in English or German, kalk. But when there's like also these yellow things from like water and stuff like that, and the curtain rails were just disastrous. I don't want to go into detail. It was just depressing at that time, and I was commuting from there to work. It was a bit of a distance, and sometimes I would miss the bus. And I actually broke my phone this one time trying to catch a bus at 6 in the morning. It was really dark, and My phone crashed and it's now broken. So, story of my life. Like I said, those were really hard times for me. I know my hard times isn't really a hard time for some other people, but excuse me, I was going through a lot. That is just what I would say. So I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone to confide in or a shoulder to cry on. I would have had my sister, but like I said, she's basically the reason where I am today. So I think at some point I just didn't want to be a burden, and I felt like my problems weren't problem enough for her. Like she had bigger things to worry about, obviously. And at that time, I was just probably just whining. So I decided to maybe start a podcast. It's another reason was also because I had a close friend of mine. She introduced the podcast live to me. She once played this episode from, I think, Laid Bear. Laid Bear. What's wrong with my English? Laid Bear. Yeah. Gosh. And I just found it interesting how these girls were just like being themselves and just talking about it's about sex. It's about anything that is to deal with sex. It's about it. So I was so invested and so interested, and I was like, that was literally like the greatest motivation I've ever gotten to start a podcast. So I always said actually to my other sister that if I was able to write a book, I would probably call it People Life Expectations and Me. But then now that I had changed my mind about writing, I used to write a lot when I was growing up. Don't want to say when I was a kid, but I used to write a lot growing up. I used to have like lots of journals and stuff. So when the idea of a podcast came, that's when I decided to change course and focus on doing a podcast instead. And I actually procrastinated about the issue of a podcast for a while. I don't know why. I just wasn't confident enough in just putting my voice out there and stuff and just talking and opening up. It sounded just it wasn't right. But it was something that I really wanted to do. When you really want to do something to a point where you actually dream about it. That's what happened to me. So at some point, I went on Spotify. I think it was Anchor first, and then I created a profile, and before I knew it, I had a podcast, and it was available on Spotify, and it was amazing. It was literally the most amazing feeling I've ever had. I think probably the same feeling I got when I first started my YouTube channel, which never got to prevail. So yeah. So sorry about that. My voice keeps trailing off. This is actually one of those days when I come back from school and I'm not so tired. I just feel really relaxed. So I decided to, just maybe do a few segments and see how it goes. Maybe I'll just mesh them together later on. And also I'm kind of also really excited because like I said, this podcast used to be called People Life Expectations and Me, and now it's taking a different course. I won't be saying what the name of the podcast will be from now on because I'm also not sure. I asked a few friends of mine on Instagram, actually a story, just to hear like the correct formation of the gosh, what's wrong? I need to cut this now. Gosh. So I asked some of my followers on Instagram to like help me decide which name it was going to be. That's why I won't be mentioning the name. But I'm really excited about it because it went from being personal to being more personal, I think. Sorry about that. I just received a call from my sister, so I had to stop recording for a minute. So I was saying I am now comfortable with talking about things that I usually wouldn't talk about. I am ready to open up and just let myself just be myself and let people see the insides of me. That sounds so wrong, but I don't mean it that way, I promise. Jokes. Anyway, I am so excited. I can't wait. I think I have like 15 topics that I probably lined up for every episode. And I usually don't like do segments and then like merge them or like crop out things and stuff. I just put out put out what I am out there without any filter or changes. But in most cases, I might have to, because I keep on messing up and I keep on blabbering about nonsense and I keep on like just saying things that don't make sense. As yeah, like now. But I won't take this one out because I also don't want to be someone I'm not. I don't want to be too perfect. I don't want to sound fake. I'm just I'm just gonna be real and I'm just gonna, you know, clear my throat when I have to. Thank you. And I'm just gonna be myself. I don't mean to make anyone cringe. I'm just trying to like have fun while doing this. Just be myself and enjoy it because this is me trying my best to like open up and stuff, you know. In some cases, I don't even talk, I just cry. Yeah, I let the tears do the talking, but that didn't help much in the future. Anyway, so that's about it. I think this is just a nice to meet you episode, and just to give you a little heads up on where things are at the moment, and hopefully we get to talk more about whatever. I'm not about to spoil anything, but hopefully we get to talk more about whatever we talk about in the next episode. I'm so excited, guys. There's so much to talk about. There's so much, and this podcast is not just for me. I think it's for also someone out there who probably didn't have like so much. I don't know how to put it, like, because I would have to say it addressing myself first. I don't think I had much of a um like a teenagehood. I don't think I had much of that when my age mates were literally starting their uni and enjoying life from like let's say maybe 17 to like 19. I was literally trying to rewrite and reshape my life at that point because I felt so messed up and I felt so left behind. So this is the story of my life. Before I came or before I moved here to Berlin, I had just actually registered to rewrite my high school exams. So, gosh, okay, so I'm gonna cut this out because I feel like just me clearing my throat time and again doesn't sound right. So, what happened was I finished my high school in 2017, and I was 17 years old then. And the results I think came out the next year around March or so. And unfortunately I was like 4 points away from like the government sponsorship, so I couldn't go to uni unless I sponsored myself for actually not the course that I wanted, would have probably been like a bridging course to get to where I wanted to go. And unfortunately at that time I didn't have any resources to like sponsor myself. My mom was still um self-employed and she didn't get much, and can't say much about my siblings because they pretty much had their own lives at that time, and I had options too. So I could rewrite the exam like 5 times. Luckily we're allowed to rewrite the exams, so I could do that. So I tried The first time I failed, second time I got the same results. I think on my third try, this is probably embarrassing for like those who know me like personally and those who went to school with me, but honestly I don't give a shit. I couldn't give two fucks right now because I see now how our system is so fucked up and trying to make us believe that if we don't like like I wouldn't consider myself a failure in a way that I would say I failed my high school, because it wasn't a fail if I could still sponsor myself to do maybe like binary nesting or something like that, like a bridging course to whatever course that I wanted to do, you know. So I just didn't meet their expectations. The expectations set for us, I couldn't meet them. I was, like I said, 4 points away, and disappointingly so. What? Is that even a word? Anyway, so I remember re-registering for the third time, going for the third try, and I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking. In my mind, the most important thing for me would have been to pass this time, do things differently, to succeed. And my age mates, my friends from high school, my ex-boyfriend, they were succeeding in uni, you know, but they were also falling out. Like I could see a lot of them falling pregnant, falling out, dropping out, getting like fail and discontinue and stuff like that, and just some changing courses and some going into the army and things like that. But for me, I think I just wanted to experience the uni life, you know, like life in uni, and just be able to like have like income at the end of the month, because you know they get sponsored, so they get money every month in most cases. So I think I wanted that a lot for myself, that I kind of lost myself. I remember being really depressed. I remember being really sad, and I felt like I had no direction. I felt like I was a disappointment. I knew for sure that my little sister, who's just 3 years younger than me, would probably start uni before me. And being the only child in my family who wasn't so academically gifted kind of weighed on me, because I knew they wouldn't understand why it was so hard for me to succeed as much as I would. I didn't understand why I couldn't just pass, you know, like why couldn't I just pass? It was really complicated in that way. Like it weighed down a lot. I didn't want to be this burden that I was, and I felt like a really huge disappointment. I was just an average student, and all my siblings were literally like smart kids. Those kids are the smartest you would ever meet, and me, I don't know what I am. I'm just a middle, you know, like middle averaged. No idea that. So I remember taking my phone at that time, and I just texted my sister, the one who lived abroad. I remember texting, I want to study abroad. I have no idea what I wanted to study then, but it's just something, I don't even remember what came to me, but I remember a moment where I took the phone and I just texted, I want to study abroad. And I'll be honest, she didn't reply me for like a month, but she had read the message. I didn't even notice that she didn't respond back, and that I had literally written that sentence, I want to study abroad, but I think it was meant to be. It was probably God, you know, God. Okay, let me stop being weird, but it was probably just him doing what he does best. And I remember just one day she texted back, and within a week I was holding my passport. And it felt amazing. Within another week, I was literally applying for a visa to come and visit in Germany. And it was just an amazing experience, because everything happened like in a short span of time. I remember she came back home, and I went out of the country for the first time in my life. I was 19. After 3 years of trying to, actually I would say two, but I would say three. I'm gonna say three because it's three. Yes, it is. After 3 years of trying to make something out of my desperation. Okay, I'll stop being dramatic, but this is just a story that I'm actually getting so excited to tell because it happened to me, and I learned a lot from it. But like I said, I got out of the country for the first time in my life at 19, had a stamp in my passport, it felt good. We went to Cape Town. I saw the beach for the first time. The what? The beach? Yeah, the beach. I saw the beach for the first time and it was amazing. I was in a different area. I saw, like, she had always promised me when I was a kid that I will go to Cape Town. And I was so excited because the promise was finally fulfilled. And then I remember seeing Table Mountain, which I grew up seeing in books. Did I mention that I was also staying in UCT where a friend of hers was staying? Like, I wasn't going to University of Cape Town, but I stayed on campus. And it felt good. Like, I could at least imagine what it would be like to wake up from there and go to class and then come back there. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, that's when things started to manifest, I would say. Because within 2 months, I was on a flight to Germany on my own. I was still 19. I'm not gonna say I was 20 because I hadn't turned 20 yet. I'm just being petty, but I was still 19. I was on a flight to Berlin on my own, and it was scary but also amazing. It was really amazing because it was so amazing. Like, just reliving the moment just makes me realize how blessed I might have been, and I just didn't realize it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so I just remember arriving in Amsterdam, taking a flight to Berlin, sitting next to a man who was apparently scared of flights. They were having technical issues, I don't know. Or was it probably problems with the weather or something like that? And I remember offering him my hand to hold. This complete stranger, he held my hand. Did I mention it was the first time? Not actually the second time I flew, probably the longest distance, also from like Botswana to Berlin, which is like over 14 hours, probably, or 14 hours max, or 12. Yeah, so this man was holding my hand until the plane landed, and he just thanked me and left, and it felt amazing. So arriving, I was also, I was also quite, I don't know how you say it. I kind of forgot like the proverb for this, because yeah, I would really like to use a proverb to describe this, but yeah, it's kind of just running away, running around my mind. I can't, like I don't get it. But arriving was quite pleasant. I saw all these things that I'm now used to. And I remember also having a hard time coping with the new environment. I was in a long distance relationship now. My boyfriend of 8 months wasn't managing with the distance thing. Did I mention this was supposed to be a 3 months vacation to Germany, like on a visitor's visa? It was supposed to be a 3 months thing, and then I would go back to my country and I would try to rewrite. But what happened was, as soon as I got in Johannesburg, literally, Europe, I don't know what, I'm just gonna say Europe. Europe sent a message and said, we are not taking any more people from Africa or from outside Europe because of Corona. But with my angels working extra miles for me. I'm working extra hard. Our flight was literally the last one to enter Europe, and then the borders were closed. So I arrived and I stayed 3 months, which were probably very hard. I was a very hard hot head. I think I actually just looking back at the person that I used to be back then, I kind of cringe because I realized how much my sister worked or how much work she had to put in to kind of have me envision what she had envisioned for me myself. So like I said, the relationship wasn't working. I was staying home the whole time. I wasn't socializing. I was being lazy. I was gaining weight. I was just eating and stuff. It was just, I had no motivation at all. And then when the 3 months came, finally time for me to go back to my country, our like everyone at that time who was holding a Schengen visa, visitor's visa, was allowed to stay another 3 months because of Corona. And that's when I started learning German. I think in June, I started learning German. I had my first birthday away from home, my first birthday abroad. I was then 20 and it was an amazing time. I was going to school to learn German. I was coming back home. Sometimes I would bank school and just chill by the lake. If my sister hears this, she would make me pay for all those German classes I missed. I'm telling you, jokes. So there was like a time for me when I started seeing what, probably just a little bit, when I started seeing what my sister saw for me, which was opportunities that arose with me learning the language, because they apparently, not apparently, because what? There are a lot of opportunities in Germany, I'm not gonna lie, or in Europe when you know the language. You could literally, you can work when you know the language. You don't have to like suffer a lot, like knowing the language is basically also an entry to like universities and companies and stuff like that. So the goal was for me to learn the language and then be able to study nursing, because it's a dual study program. So you train with the company and you go to like a German recognized school where you learn your theory part and stuff like that, and then you do your 3 year nursing course. That was the goal. I was having a hard time seeing it. For me at that time, it was just about learning the language, just having the certificate in my hand and then seeing what is next. I didn't think ahead. I just told myself, okay, what I need right now is this. I'm working towards it. I wasn't looking forward. It's me realizing the maturity that I lacked now that I'm explaining this. It's me understanding why my sister was so mad and having a hard time dealing with me. I'm kind of feeling sorry for her right now, but yeah, God bless her heart. So I happened to stay a little bit longer than 6 months, because as soon as those 3 months that we were given by the government in Europe, the borders in my country were closed, which meant even if I flew out of Europe, I couldn't fly in of my country. And that's how I got to stay another 3 months, I think. So I ended up staying about, actually, it was a 3 or 2, another 2 or 3 months. I ended up staying about like 8 or 9 months, actually, yeah. And then she was trying so hard to like get me to like change my visa at that point and like maybe get a 1 year visa or something like that. I wrote my exam, the B1, but I was like 14 points short from like the passing rate. So it didn't matter anyway, because then I was already out of the country. But then I continued studying, learning the language in Cape Town. So I did online classes while in my country, then in Cape Town. I would attend um, physical classes. I also started a 3-year program, like a short au pair thingy, where I stayed with the family and I helped around with kids and chores while they paid for me and also paid for my classes. And it was a really good time, but I think because I had no knowledge of how the whole program worked, I was overworked. I think now that I look at it, I was a bit overworked, but I don't mind because they were like family friends and they were my sister's friends actually. So it was a nice experience too, but I always stayed home. I was still the same person, still introverted and having issues and stuff like that, and still not over my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend and stuff like that. So it was a bit of a hard time. So yeah, story of my life. And then I went back to my country after the 3-year probation of au pair. They didn't call me back, but I kept on learning the language, and then I had my exam on the when was it, on the 17th of June. It was on my birthday. I had my exam, and I was in Cape Town, and I wrote my exam that week. I actually passed. And then I actually had also like my second birthday away from the country, like my 21st birthday. So they planned something nice for me. The family I was staying with, another family in New City. So it was also quite a nice experience. I learned a lot. I was away from home, and I remember my mom. I'm not crying, by the way. I remember my mom waking up in the morning and she called me and wished me luck and she prayed for me in the morning. And even till today, I still have the messages she wrote me on that day, because now she's late. My mom passed away. So I passed, and then I went back. And then I started learning B2. I think that was about, 2021, June, July, August. I was back home and my mom started falling sick. So because I was the only one like not going to school physically, just doing online things, I was forced to go back home to the village and take care of my mom. So I stayed with my mom from October, September, okay, pass, August, September, November. Well, hold on. June, July, August, September, October. June, July, August, September. Am I stupid? I feel like I'm doing it wrong, but it's probably right. I'm just overthinking. June, July, August, September, October. It's right. Gosh, it's so funny what the mind can do to you, right? Yeah. So, my mom passed away 4 months later in November, and it was probably the hardest time of my life because I was still learning the language. I had a different motive now. I was fully into the au pair program and I had found a family in Essen, North Rhine-Westphalia, in Germany, and we were making preparations for me to come and start doing the program. And things happened. My mom got really sick. The condition just deteriorated, and I was there watching each and every step. I was the one taking her to the hospital sometimes with her sister. Sorry for the noise, guys. I actually realized the other segment has also kind of like a bit of noises, like someone is like moving the chair or something, but it's the wind. It's very windy. Now it's actually better. There's something wrong with the weather recently, but yeah. And now I think my roommate is awake or something like that. But as I was saying, I was the one taking care of my mom. It was a really hard time, but I am really grateful because I got to spend time with her until her last moments. I think now I'm at peace because she saw me. She knows I was there for her until the last day. She knows, yeah, she knows. I know too. So when she passed away, a day after her burial, I had to move. Wow. Wow. I was just 21. I had to move at 21. I'm sure there are people questioning, like why it's so surprising that I feel this way, but I moved away a day after my mom's burial. Literally moved out to another city, another country. Wow. I mean, as an African, I think no discrimination or something like that, but as an African, I think you guys would understand. I mean, like, that's the cultural difference, right? Because usually people, like, people from different nations and stuff. I don't know how to put this. I don't want to sound like racist or anything like that. Kids usually step out of the family's home at 18 and stuff. I mean, that's what we grew up knowing. But with us, you literally stay with your parents until, I don't know. Yeah, if you are 18 and you try to move out, chaos. Anyway, so I moved to Berlin, to Essen. I stayed with the German family. Excuse me. Gosh, I'm gonna need to crop this out. No. So I stayed with a German family of 3 kids, the youngest being 2 years old and the oldest being 8 years old. It was a nice experience, but I had just lost my mom. I had literally just buried my mom a day before taking the flight and coming to them. And not even once in those 6 months did they ask me how I'm coping, how I was doing. Like, I understand it's the cultural difference too. I'm not mad or anything like that, but it was a really hard time for me, and I was having a hard time also dealing with the kids because they were like, very mean, and they would always mention, "Oh, your mom passed away" and stuff like that, and it was a really new wound. So in 6 months, things weren't good. They canceled the contract, and I had to find a new family. I found a new family, a Ghanaian family, through my sister, and I had to move to Berlin. Moving to Berlin meant also for me trying to find a school to study. And as always, problems, problems, problems. I had problems with my Ghanaian family, but not that much. I mean, they just wanted me to step out of my comfort zone and just be this obedient child. And I mean, they were like my host parents. That's how this program works. I'm still a child, like a household child. I don't know how to explain that, but they are like my host parents, and they would tell me, "You are doing everything," quoted, "You are doing everything according to the book. You are doing everything right, but we would really just like you to do these small extra things." So I wasn't really comfortable with me doing these small extra things because I thought to myself, I'm not getting paid extra for doing extra things. My salary is fixed. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Because my host mom would always tell me, this is the environment that you're going to work in. If you want to get a promotion from work, you would need to work out of the box. You need to do extraordinary things so that people can see you. But for me, I was like, even if I do extra things, I won't get paid extra. Nor will I get a promotion from this. So I'm just gonna stick to what I'm supposed to do. I know with every fiber in my being that there is righteous to that statement. There is righteous to that statement, and I don't want to say anything more than that. I know I was right in that sense because I didn't want to feel used like I did with the first family, and I didn't want to go out of my way and still feel like shit. So that is that. Fast forward, I started my training and I moved out. That's when I moved into this new apartment that I got kicked out of in 3 weeks. And I found a new one. Well, the contract was only for 4 months because the apartment had to be renovated, and I moved into basically my dream apartment where I'm staying now for about 3 months, and I am happy. Happy. It's far away from school and work because I stay in one end of Berlin and I work on the other end of Berlin, but I am not complaining. I love this place. I love every little bit of it. I love this beautiful chair that I'm sitting comfortably on right now on my table. I love the view. I have a balcony and my room is just close to the shower. Perfect. Define perfection. This is it. So I think that's about it. That's about everything you need to know about me. Oh, well, I don't have a boyfriend. What did I just say? Did I say I don't have a boyfriend or I don't need one? Gosh, whatever I said. I don't have a boyfriend, but there's someone I'm talking to and I really like, and let's just see how it goes, alright? Otherwise, I am just focusing on school, which is a decision I made as soon as I broke up with my boyfriend 3 years ago, and he wasn't managing with the distance thing, and he cheated and broke my beautiful heart. He broke it. How dare he? But it's done. It is what it is. So I haven't been with anyone after that. I mean, I haven't dated anyone after that. Girl, what are you trying to say right now? And I honestly have been happy. Single, it's been lonely, yes. I'm not gonna lie. It's been really lonely. It gets really lonely. And the first 6 months to a year, it's bad. It's really bad. Like, you do a lot of mistakes, but one thing about me and mistakes is I always learn from my mistakes, and I'm not one to like repeat mistakes. Hardly. I always learn from my mistake. I think that's something to take home. There's always something to take home. So that's it. Yeah. Did I mention my phone is broken? Yeah. It needs to be fixed. So if there are little like short pauses that I keep on doing, it's probably because I'm trying to like stop recording for a minute and like breathe in and out, or like refresh or drink something, and I'm just having a hard time pressing the stop button because my screen is broken. So that's it. I'm actually happy I finally managed to do the trailer. Oh, not oh my god! I still need to do the trailer. This is the first episode. I also have to learn how to structure my podcast. I have everything written down, but it's just something with me and structure. I still need to work on the trailer. So, but I think it's a good thing because I still need to decide the name of the podcast anyway. So, yeah. Let's see how it goes, but I'm just happy I finally have like the first episode. So once I'm done with the trailer, I can also like put on the first episode and probably start doing the second episode. So I think I'm done for today, or for now, because I have quite a little bit of energy left in me to do more, and I won't be deleting the last episode. I'm just gonna, this podcast that I have, and trying to start a new one. I'm just gonna keep the followers that I have and the ratings that I have and everything like that. But I really want to take a moment and thank those who are still sticking with me, because sometimes I don't even know if I sound illiterate or what, or if I just don't trust myself or have enough confidence. But I really want to thank you guys for following me despite everything. And I am glad you enjoy this. I hope you do. But I'm also glad. I'm glad you enjoy this, and honestly, I couldn't be more happier to have you guys. Um, so yeah, don't forget to rate the podcast on Spotify, and if you like, leave a comment, and I will get back to you. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lina Puti if you want to. I will make sure to leave it in, well, I don't know, maybe on the description, podcast description. You can find it there. I was thinking also I would probably soon start an Instagram page for the podcast so I can always interact with my listeners from there. And I am looking forward to having you guys around. So I'm gonna wrap it up now, and this was this has been good, and I'm happy. And it was really nice meeting you. So see you next time.